What's up, guys? So yeah, I'm gonna talk about a really cool movie, one of my favorites, personally, and I like it because not only is it based on true events, uh, it's one of those magical kind of movies, not fantasy, but shock and awe. Uh, Kind of like the same feeling when you watched E.T. the first time. It's a Steven Spielberg movie, and it's got a really credible cast, and I'm almost certain you've seen one of the sequels. You want to guess what I'm talking about? Well, if you're afraid of sharks, if you like Shark Week, all the above, that's right. I'm talking about Jaws, baby. And yeah, so I know today's generation probably has zero patience when it comes to a movie like Jaws, and there's a slew of killer shark movies you guys could watch. I mean, hundreds of them, recent ones too, that have great effects and crazy stories too. But the fact of the matter is, this one kind of got off the ground. It had a very troubled production, but I mean, you had people like Steven Spielberg directing it, Peter Benchley, who, if you don't know who he is, Peter Benchley's a great author who does a lot of um, underwater creature feature kind of stuff. He's a serious author. I mean, he just doesn't do movies like this. I mean, he's a writer, like a Stephen King type, just not focusing on horror, but I guess thrillers, you would say. But anyway, his contribution to this obviously inspires Steven Spielberg to do Jaws. And what I like about Jaws is it's masquerading as a serious movie, but it's kind of like a horror movie. I mean, you see a guy get eaten by a shark. There's blood. There's remains. This was, anyway, when I seen it, I thought it was like a movie like a whole family could watch, a serious movie. But you know, come on, it's kind of like Jurassic Park, the first one, and God, what else? Silence of the Lambs. Serious movies that everyone could watch. Well, maybe not Silence of the Lambs, but they don't come off as horror. You might not even find them in the horror section, and that's what got me about Jaws, because it truly is a horror movie, and the fact that it did kind of take place. I believe it's some beach town back in like the 1800s. A shark got lost in some bay and started attacking people, and this was the inspiration, obviously, that and Peter Benchley writing this story and so on and forth. But Spielberg has the magic touch. He's a director that needs no introduction. You guys all know about Steven Spielberg. But the cast: Richard Dreyfuss, Robert Shaw, Roy Scheider, and it's a kind of a popcorn feel good kind of movie. It'd probably be amazing if you've seen it like in the big screen. But essentially it's this huge great white shark that gets lost in a beach town, pretty much. And so think of Atlantic City, pretty much, like a small enclave of Atlantic City, or I don't know, like Rhode Island or Connecticut. In fact, I think Amityville is based. It's not a real place, but it's based off of one of those beach towns like Connecticut or Rhode Island. And this shark just goes nuts, starts eating people because it's like a smorgasbord, And Chief Brody was played by Roy Scheider, who clearly doesn't want the job. He's a chief, and he has to kind of maintain order. And the mayor's always on his back because they get their most money during, summertime, beaches, beach activity stuff, and the mayor's fully aware that there's a killer shark on the loose, but he does everything to try and hush it up. And Chief Brody's like, I still have a job to do. I have to maintain order and try and do something about this shark. So you see throughout the film that they hire people, fishermen that are out for blood and all that stuff. A marine biologist played by Richard Dreyfuss, Hooper. He gets involved too, and then you get introduced to the shark hunter. This guy looks badass, Robert Shaw, and Robert Shaw is an excellent. They all have excellent acting careers. the previous actors I mentioned. But Robert Shaw just brings that presence. The cage is going in the water, sharks in the water. Like he just has that line delivery. With his accent and everything. It's awesome. He plays a great shark hunter. I don't give a shit kind of attitude. And if you've seen Jaws, you know what I'm talking about. Obviously, we can't leave out the sequels. Jaws 2, 3, and 4. Each one of them have their own charm, but let's leave them out right now. The original Jaws, it's just, it's awesome. And for being a 70s movie, it just, it feels great. I like it. It just, it's a movie, when it's on, I can always watch, and it's something I grew up with. I grew up on a beach town, Brigantine, so even though I love the water, I love swimming, in the back of my mind, in fact, I did have a little encounter with a shark, which I'll never forget. I lost 2 water shoes because I ran, and the water shoes just flew off. But yeah, sharks are they shouldn't be feared like that. They should be respected, especially when you're in their house, the ocean. Yeah, I mean, from beginning to end, Jaws is a adventure horror thriller. It's a hell of a ride. There's theme parks, Universal theme parks. They have theme rides based off this movie. It's a franchise. I'm surprised they didn't do a reboot or something, which I really hope they don't, because Jaws should be left alone as is, I think. But yeah, that's all I can really say. It's kind of like a personal journey with me. I grew up with Jaws, among the other thousands of films, but this one is one of those ones that stand out. Just like when you watched E.T. the first time, or I don't know, Never Ending Story, or whatever. It's that magic that kind of grips you, and you're like, oh, this movie's crazy. It's has my attention now, and one of those nights you're not doing nothing, you just lay back, watch Jaws, because it's a fun, entertaining ride, totally believable, and just from beginning to end, acted with perfection. The scenery, like I said, there was a lot of trouble during the making of this film because it's a practical shark, and I'm so glad the shark is in the water half the time because it kind of masks the prop. It's a big rubberized mechanical shark, and it's very apparent that. I think they do use scenes of actual sharks, I guess from like stock footage or something, but I mean, there's violence, there's a little bit of gore here, blood, which doesn't take away. It adds layers to this already great story, and even seeing the shark, the fact that it's practical, I think it works. I mean, nowadays when they do a shark movie, it's not that practical. It's usually a CGI, and thankfully, the depths of the ocean could kind of mask that too, and it don't look as bad. But I always go, practical over CGI. That's just how I am. Huge Tom Savini fan. But anyway, like I said, everything from the effects, the realism, and the situation, I think Jaws could withstand a test of time and always be an enjoyable movie. Not just for yourself, but for anyone, And yeah, there you go. It's my little review of Jaws. If you haven't seen it, any of them, check out the first one. I think you guys will like it. Alright, well, thanks for listening to me ramble about Jaws. Be nice to each other, and I will see you all very, very soon. Peace.